The wheel of time turns, and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. The Wheel of Time is far from your classic fantasy story. From the Westlands to the far reaches of the globe, the world contains some of the strangest places fiction has ever seen. In today's video, I will be taking us to the mysterious land of Seanchan to investigate its origins, culture, and native species. Seanchan is cloaked in mystery, but through the use of various maps and word-of-mouth reports, we have some understanding of the dark goings-on there. After the breaking of the world, 3,000 years before the start of the story, the Earth was reshaped. Continents were sunken into the sea and new ones rose. The land that remained was cracked and molded by male channelers overcome with madness. Thus, at the dawn of the Third Age, Seanchan was born as a new continent. Some speculate, however, that the continent represents the remains of North and South America. With the western continent bearing a striking resemblance to Africa, and the Madlands existing in a similar region and shape to Australia, this theory has some weight. Stretching from the northern ice cap all the way down through the equator and near to the southern ice cap, Seanchan is the biggest continent in the Wheel of Time, appearing to have more landmass than both the western continent and the Madlands combined. Seanchan is a cruel continent with deep rainforests, arid plains, and gargantuan, unscalable mountain ranges. Although we have various maps of Seanchan, the actual topography and climate described there is lacking. Most of the northern region of the continent exists as mountain ranges extending from the sea with vast fissures of water between them. Cities and villages pepper the coast, as this region seems to be the only habitable area. Further south, we see as deserts exist on the eastern and western sides of the central mountain range. In our own world, we can see how dense rainforest and jungle exist at the equator, followed by regions of desert. This phenomena is described by Hadley cells. At the equator of the Earth, warm, humid air rises into the atmosphere. As the air rises, it cools and becomes less dense. The cooling water within the air begins to condense and falls as rain, causing heavy rainfall around the equator. Heavy rainfall and extreme heat lead to vast jungles and rainforests. The dry air, now being pushed north and south by a pressure gradient, begins to descend as the pressure gradient decreases. As the air descends, it compresses, causing its molecules to increase their speed. This leads to the heating of the air. Lastly, as the air reaches the ground, it has become extremely arid and any water in the region is quickly evaporated, causing deserts. This is why, even when deserts touch bodies of water or the ocean, they do not always become lush. Examples in our own world can be found in the Sahara as well as the Australian bush. In addition, with the presence of mountain ranges, there are many more opportunities for strange weather phenomena. We see this in the western United States with Oregon and Northern California. The western side of the mountains has an extremely wet climate, but on the eastern side we find the Nevada desert. With this in mind, it is clear that the terrain of Seanchan is not for the faint of heart. One notable geographic feature of Seanchan is the presence of the Lesser Blight. To the far north, a mountain range separates the continent from a land very similar to the Great Blight, found to the north of the Westlands. This would seem to indicate that either the blight stretches across the top of the globe to the north of Seanchan, or stretches across the ocean floor re-emerging in Seanchan. The geography of Seanchan has shaped its people into hardened warriors, hell-bent on achieving their goals. The land now holds the empire of Seanchan, as well as the twisted and disturbed individuals that now call the continent home. A thousand years before the start of the story, Arder Hawkwing Paindrag sent his son, Luthair Paindrag Mondwyn, with an army across the sea to battle the armies of the Shadow on far continents. With a hatred for the Aes Sedai and the influence from the Forsaken, the armies conquered the continent and incorporated its inhabitants into their own society. Known as the Conquest, 800 years of warring finally led to a unified nation. In this time, a war was fought against the Shadowspawn, where the Seanchan eliminated them from the continent. The Seanchan are a harsh and brutal people. They live in a rigid, hierarchical society full of deceit, plotting, and political murder. The most heinous part of the Seanchan culture is their use of bound magical slaves known as damane, the old tongue for leashed one. Arthur Hawkwing was known for his complicated relationship with the Aes Sedai, having fought with and against them during his rule. This sentiment seemed to bleed into his army and his son. Arriving in Seanchan, Luthair and his armies quickly faced opposition by native forces with their own female channelers. Diane Sedai, a member of Luthair's army, developed a terangrial called an Adam. The Adam is a nefarious device, being a silver wristband connected to a thick, silver, shackled collar. When placed on the neck of a woman who can channel, it gives the user complete control over that woman. Female members of Luthair's army were then trained to control their damane and were named Suldam, Old Tongue for leash holder. The Seanchan went about enslaving all female channelers on the continent, including Diane Sedai herself. It is believed in Seanchan that female channelers are not human, but merely animals to be tamed and controlled. A Suldam can inflict incredible amounts of pain on their damane without causing them any physical harm. Simulations of beatings, cuttings, and other torture are inflicted on damane to castrate their will. Even worse, the Adam prevents the wearer from removing it without the help of another. Trying to touch or remove the collar results in intense nausea and pain. That was one of the properties of the Adam. If a damane tried to channel without a Suldam wearing her bracelet, she felt sick, and more of the power she channeled, the sicker she became. In the end, damane have been trained to be obedient and follow their Suldam's commands. This has led to a disturbing relationship between the two, often with a Suldam referring to her damane as a pet. This has become so bad that some Suldam even dress up their damane. At the heart of the Seanchan belief system is the Kurene, or the Return. One day, the heirs of Arthur Hawkwing's empire will return to the Westlands to bind the dragon and destroy the Dark One. The Asanic cycle reads, "He must kneel before the crystal throne, before Tarmangaden, or all is lost." Seanchan itself is home to a series of alien flora and fauna. Having evolved separately from the Westlands for 2,000 years, the creatures of Seanchan have diverged substantially from those in the Westlands. And some, even, come from other worlds. The first of these beasties is the Raken. A winged creature dove away from the hill, body as big as a horse, ribbed wings spanning 30 paces or more, long neck stretched out before, and longer tail streaming behind. The Raken is covered in gray scaly skin, and has a head like that of a bird. Its mouth comes to a sharp peak used for chewing meat and plants. They do not breathe fire and are similar to wyverns of other fantasy tales. They do not do well in ground attacks, but in the air, they're deadly. The cousin to the Raken is the Toe Raken. The Toe Raken was acquired by the Seanchan from another world. Through the use of mystical portal stones, the Seanchan traveled to a shadow world and returned with these creatures, using them to fight the shadow. Being slightly bigger than the Raken, and brown instead of gray, they have similar features. Mainly used for carrying cargo, the Toe Raken is not typically used in battle. When the Seanchan truly need strength, they bring out the Lopar. The Lopar is a wingless beast, used for combat. Having reddish-brown skin, the animal looks like a large, hairless bear with a wide snout and somewhat pointed head. The earless creature can grow up to 10 feet in length and is deadly quick. Another creature from the Shadow World is the Grolm, also large, hairless, and bear-like, the Grolm is covered in greenish-gray, toad-like skin. These creatures are unsettling as their heads contain a cluster of 3 eyes on a wedge-shaped face. These creatures are used mainly for cargo as well, but do have tactical uses in battle. Less agile than the Lopar, the Grolm is most effective against ground troops. Due to the nature of their 3 eyes, horses often are unnerved by Grolm, and their simple presence can disturb a cavalry charge. Lastly, we have the Shreddit. Known for their massive forms, large leathery ears, and massive tusks, these gray war animals bear a striking resemblance to our modern-day elephants. Being used for war, the Shreddit are used to trample and destroy enemy soldiers. Although they are not fast, their sheer size allows them to be deadly in combat. Being fairly resistant to arrows and swords with their thick skin, it is incredibly difficult to kill one, and the threat of being crushed beneath it helps to sway attackers. Overall, the animals of Seanchan have been largely bred and commandeered for war purposes, twisting potentially peaceful animals into weapons of destruction. Seanchan is also the origin of calf beans. When roasted and ground, they can be brewed into a strong black drink that gives clarity and energy to the drinker. The drink is very clearly coffee, but the calf plant existing in Seanchan gives credence to the America theory as coffee beans originated in South America. In the years following their arrival in Seanchan and the conquest, the Seanchan culture has diverged heavily from that of the Westlands. Most notably, although they still speak the new tongue of the Westlands, they pronounce each word with a slow and heavy drawl. They sound almost snake-like with their pronunciation in the books. However, in a letter to fan Paul Ward, Robert Jordan outlined that the Seanchan have a Texan accent, meaning that the most fearsome humans in the story sound like Matthew McConaughey. Seanchan, although hostile, is populated with many towns and cities. The capital, Shandar, is located at the convergence of 3 major waterways halfway between the equator and the northern ice cap. Nothing is known about the architecture of Seanchan apart from their ships, which are described as tall and square-like, with odd-ribbed sails. Shandar holds the Court of the 9 Moons, where the Empress and her descendants have ruled for nearly 1,000 years. Within the court is the Crystal Throne, presumably a throne made out of crystal or ornate glass. Another notable location is Imferal, where the Towers of Midnight are located. This structure is a massive conglomerate of intricate towers, barracks, and fighting courts. When Luthair Paindrag conquered this city, it turned the tide in the war, paving the way for their conquest of Shandar. Very little is known about the Seanchan cities and towns, but with influences from Imperial China as well as Roman, Byzantine, and the Ottoman empires, they are believed to be grand. The Seanchan have also developed a very specific clothing style and accompanying haircuts. Soldiers wear ornately wrought armor in the shape of insects. The helmet looked very much like some monstrous insect's head, with thin red plumes like feelers. The wearer seemed to be peering out through mandibles. It was painted and gilded to increase the effect, and the rest of the man's armor was also worked with paint and gold. Black and red, outlined with gold, covered his chest and ran down the outside of his arms and the front of his thighs. Even the steel backs of his gauntlets were red and gold. The 2-handed sword on his back, with its curved blade, was scabbarded and hilted in black and red leather. To the people of the Westlands, the Seanchan look like demons. The class structure is based off the blood. Each person who can trace their heritage back to Artur Hawkwing himself is declared a member of the blood. However, in present day, it has become a rank given to distinguish soldiers and notable citizens. Anyone descending from a member of the blood is also a part of the blood. Seanchan is ruled by the Empress and has been ruled by women for 900 years. The imperial family distinguished themselves by keeping their heads shaven. The less hair on one's head, the higher their rank. Below the Empress is the heir, the daughter of the 9 moons, and her husband, the Prince of the Ravens. Seanchan also grow out their nails and cover them in lacquer to distinguish their rank. The royal family grows out their pinky and middle fingers and covers them in black polish, with the Empress glossing each of her 10 black nails. Following from the royal family comes the high blood. This rank is akin to lord and baron families from feudalistic Europe. These individuals shave the sides of their head and lacquer the middle and pinky fingers corresponding to their rank. Next comes the low blood. Following the high blood as distinguished members of society, they do not hold the same titles of the high blood. They shave the undersides of their heads, leaving a cap of hair. They too grow out their pinky nails and color them according to their rank. Under the low blood are the free men and women, who make up the merchant class and presumably the farming class of Seanchan. Although not specifically detailed, these people seem akin to medieval European serfs, allowed to live with certain freedoms but still tied to a member of the blood. Lastly, and the most disturbing, are the Dakuvale, or the ones who are property, in the old tongue. The practice of slavery within Seanchan is dark and complicated. All children born to Dakuvale mothers are also Dakuvale. However, in the rare instance of a child being born of a free mother and a Dakuvale father, the child is born free. To demean the Dakuvale further, they are forced to wear thin, transparent robes that leave nothing to the imagination. In cold weather, they are allowed a covering of white fabric. However, the color white denotes them as members of the slave class. In special instances, however, Dakuvale may be raised to the Sojin. Although slaves themselves, they wear normal clothing and have authority over the free people. The Sojin have the ability to rise in rank in Seanchan and are also allowed to marry with the permission of their owners. Militaristically, there are also many factions at play. Known as the ever-victorious army, the Seanchan troops are led by the Death Watch Guards. Each member of the Death Watch Guard is a slave owned by the Empress herself. Oddly enough, the Seanchan have even worked the usually peaceful Ogier into their ranks. Known as the Gardeners, these hulking Ogier are vicious, with black spiked axes. In all of their ways, the Seanchan have managed to twist the beauty of the Westlands into something horrific. Other military factions include the Fists of Heaven, who consist of the Marat Raken or Raken Riders known as the Captains of the Air. Within the Fists are the Blood Knives. Seemingly trained from birth, the Blood Knives are deadly assassins gifted with special spiked ring terangriel. When activated, the ring slowly leeches the life from the wearer, but gives them increased strength, durability, speed, and the special attribute of shadow blending, in which they are difficult to see in the dark. In the end, the Blood Knives lose their lives and are among the top horrors within the Seanchan army. Overall, Seanchan and its empire is comprised of many dark and twisted attributes. From the enslavement and torture of female channelers, to militarizing peaceful elephants, and the degradation of the Dakuvale, the Seanchan are among the cruelest and most diabolical villains in fiction. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'd like to give special thanks to artist Rob Christensen for providing me with his map of the Wheel of Time. Until now, we have never had such a detailed and high-quality version of the map, and if you'd like to pick one up for yourself, the link is in the description. Thanks, Rob. This video marks the first entry in my Strangest Places in the Wheel of Time series, where I will be traveling around the map and exposing all of the secrets it holds. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to make sure that you catch the next one. Thank you again so much for watching. Bye!